to holy cow, just bugged out for a second. Welcome to Dishin of Clix. Don't know what just happened. Not very good with computer stuff. To hell with it. Do it live. That's what I usually do.
There we go.
I am with Joe Pangrazio from Clix Nexus. We are here to, I don't know, talk about whatever. So, first and foremost, thank you for being here. Clix Cup. What are we to expect at the end of the month? What are your big events?
Total insanity. All the information is up on the Facebook page. Gonna have 4 days of events. Thursday night, casual night, nice and easy, hopefully. Super complicated build restrictions, but try to make it easier for guys to play something different. Friday will be one of the big shows. Singles, 300 Modern. Yeah! Everyone's favorites. Team sealed for Saturday, which is what the set will be is currently in flux because, things are happening. And then the first large-scale Silver Age event in the world in person Sunday. So it'll be lots of fun. I'm going to try and run a tight ship, have everyone be good sports. Darius, when's this going to come out? I should have asked you that before, but, I don't think about things.
As soon as I can edit it and throw it up. So maybe hopefully by this weekend.
Fair enough. Probably July 6th. I'm thinking about possibly doing a quick live video, just going over a couple last minute things, which I will then do a post about because it's very important. Videos are fun, but it's also very important to put things in text so people can read them because it's a lot easier to go back one line and reread it than hit pause on a video, scan back. Oh, wait, where was it? Oh, I forgot. Oh, no. Everything's falling apart. Here's my Ninja Turtle glass.
I had something. We are both in the Northeast right now. Our thoughts go out to the people who are in the Pacific Northwest because they are getting their asses kicked just as hard as we are here in the Northeast. It has been in the high 90s, low 100s for the past 3 days with like 90% humidity. So basically, we're just all melting over here as well. So I don't know.
But at least we don't have wildfires. That's the one good part between the two of us. Like, at least, and it's horrible over there. I got non-Clix friends over there.
Yeah, so be safe out there. I think the Clix camp is going on out there as well in the Pacific Northwest with the Eagles and things like that. More power to you. Don't
drink Gatorade. I know all you boys have begun getting drunk. Drink your Gatorade, keep hydrated when you're out in the heat.
And don't fall in the fire.
Don't
fall into the fire. Don't put your Clix into the fire. I can see someone getting angry and just throwing stuff into the fire. Yep, I can see it happening completely.
Or if you're going to, make sure someone's recording it.
There's that as well. Yes, get it up on something. Chip falling in the fire. That's entertainment. That's good video right there. That's good video right there. So we got the Clix stuff going on. The Clix camp going on right now. I believe we have Clix Cup at the end of the month. The Bootleg Connecticut State Championship is what I'm calling it. Is going to be happening on the weekend of August 7th and 8th. I believe it's going to be August 7th, which is the Saturday. We are moving it up a day from what we usually run it on Sundays so people can be there longer. Saturdays, they leave the comic book shop open until like 9 o'clock at night. We're going to run Battle Royals. We're going to be doing a Super Silver sealed event. So anything that is Silver Age, you can go ahead and buy 2 boosters to start. You have to buy a different booster for each booster you buy. So it gives everybody the opportunity to get at least one quote-unquote good booster of stuff. So if we have 10 X-Men, the animated, and people are like, the first 5 people all buy that, I don't want people to be like, oh, it's a disadvantage. No, I'm having to buy this or that. No, you get one of whatever, and then one of another. So everyone has the opportunity to get 2 boosters that they want. And then after that, you have 3 mulligans. So if you don't like one of the boosters you pull, show it to me. Okay, cool. This person is not doing this, whatever. Go buy another booster. Go put it in your bag. Go buy another booster. You get 3
I would have
mulligans.
the like pile of boosters.
That's it. Basically,
Oh, that's fun,
let's sell a lot of product. Let's give people the opportunity to buy stuff and play. And then we're going to be doing battle royals all day. I'm trying to compile some stuff for some additional prizing, and go from there. So that's what we have going on. I believe I made an announcement that I was going to be writing for Clix Nexus a little bit. And uh, Joe is doing a fantastic job with all of like the politically correct stuff. I'm not a rules guy. I mean, I know the rules really well. I don't know. I want to do some opinion pieces. I want to do stuff. I want to do fun stuff. I don't want to be like, hey, let's go over. Let's talk about, which we're going to be doing right now because it was asked for. I made the dumb decision to be like, hey, what do you guys want to see me write about? And they're like, let's talk about power interactions with all the new rules. And I'm like, I don't really want to do that, but we're going to do that. But I don't really want to do that. So but we're going to do that.
Before the new rules, that's my life. It's going to be my life forever.
And now it is after the new rules as well.
Yeah.
Because now you have to unlearn what you have learned because everything has completely changed. So with all of the new power, all right, let's just, I'll just do some quick hot takes. What are the top 3 useless powers now? You can't choose Earthbound Neutralize. You can't choose.
I was gonna say Earthbound Neutralize.
You can't choose Leap Climb because they've been useless for a very long time.
Did you say Super Strength? Did I talk over you? Did I talk over you while you said Super Strength?
Huh?
Did I talk over you while you said Super Strength? Because that's going to be my first one for just useless.
Yeah, Super Strength. So it's not so much Super Strength, I think, as it is the new rules about objects.
No, like Super Strength still, objects didn't help it, but just even the old rules about everybody getting to pick a light up, that didn't help Super Strength. Super Strength just doesn't do anything. It hasn't done anything for 5 years.
It used to, you could pick up a heavy object and deal an additional 2 damage, and now it doesn't even do that.
Yeah. Back in the old days, you used to be able to always destroy terrain, no matter what your damage value was, too.
Yeah.
Here's what I really think, because I always have to do legacy documents to update powers. Nobody else will bother to. There's actually an old power that I think there's 2 powers that either one of them would be perfect, I think, to be added to standard Super Strength without getting super convoluted, because they were already special versions of Super Strength. And it was either M'Baku or one of the Hulks. M'Baku's was when this character is not holding an object, they get a +1 to attack, which I'm like, all right, that's fine. You're super strong, so it's easy for you to hit somebody. Whatever. Mm-hmm. And then Hulk's was just a static modifier to damage, a +1 to damage. That would basically roll Super Strength back to what it was, except a little bonus, because now a character with Super Strength, if it picked up a light object, is going to deal 2 additional damage, because 1 from the object, 1 from just Super Strength. That's something. It's not a lot. It's not crazy because it's just static, but at least it's something where you're like, oh, cool, I got Super Strength. This will do something. And if you destroy all your objects, that was the old problem with Super Strength. I only got 3 objects. Once I use 3 objects, now what's Super Strength going to do? Well, you have a static +1 to something.
Yeah, but I mean, with the amount of object addition to the game. There are a lot of different things where it's like you punch this blocking terrain, you generate a light object, you do this, you generate a light object. There's a lot of object manipulation in the game right now to where if you wanted to, you could build around somebody with super strength and get as many objects as you like. And technically, I mean, there's 6 objects in the game. That's if your opponent decides they want to bring objects or they're not using equipment. And even then, you can KO someone, they unequip, then you hit them with their own, I don't know, octopus arms. There's a lot of different things going on. So I would say, yeah, super strength is probably number 1 on the list. It needs an overhaul. But again, I also feel that the change to objects didn't help it one bit whatsoever.
No.
So it's more like heavy objects don't feel like they are worth anything anymore. Like, what's the point of me bringing heavy objects if, I mean, yeah, they give you the bonus for stealth, but I mean, okay, is that it? Like, they don't, the heavy objects themselves don't do enough as well. So that one kind of
And
sucks.
knockback damage. Knockback damage was the 1-2 punch. You reduced how much damage they deal throughout. I mean, we don't have to go over it. You and I have both gone over it 1,000 times. But
This is the first video that I've done pissing and moaning about knockback damage. Wizkids use the term feel bad. There are too many feel bad moments. There's not one feel bad moment with knockback damage. Even if it's happening to me, because it is such a unique situation that it's even special if it's happening to me. That one time somebody hits me and it's like you rolled, and again, if you don't have Force Blast, if you don't have Super Strength, you don't have the knockback key phrase, you took rolling doubles and took a huge dump on it. Because that was a lightning in a bottle moment. That was a variation to the game that made the game exciting. I'm going to hit you, and I rolled 2 4s. Oh, shit. Now it's an 8. I still hit. I've rolled doubles. I get to knock them back, which I wasn't even planning on doing. And now I've knocked them off of a building to deal more damage. And now my whole turn has been completely altered because I've moved the figure, I've dealt more damage, and even the person who's getting knocked back might be like, oh shit, that's awesome, because now I'm out of harm's way. Yeah, I took 1 falling damage because I have toughness, which put me on either a better, now without being able to push, you're manipulating dials more, which some people who might enjoy. You've put me potentially in a more advantageous spot where now I've taken damage, I'm on a better click, and now I'm out of harm's way. Like, I don't know. Knockback and knockback damage was I don't know. Without the knockback damage anymore, you might as well just take rolling doubles out of the game completely.
Yeah.
Keep critical hits and keep critical misses, and then the doubles don't do anything else because there's no point. There's no benefit. I'm going to knock you back 3 squares. Well, maybe I don't want that to happen anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to give me the opportunity to deal more damage or something. Now we're just getting off topic, and I'm just getting angry again. So, what do you think after the rules changes, the second biggest hit power was that makes it kind of poopy?
Kind of plasticity.
Ooh, because of the breakaway rules?
And I know people didn't like the whole it stops you from moving and that's a complication. And I can agree that needed to be looked at because of just if you want to streamline things, that is something to get streamlined.
Yeah.
But it just I mean, I remember when this is what plasticity used to be. Not literally this, but it was worded more like this, like, oh, you if you have these powers, you don't get affected by plasticity, blah, blah, blah. And it's just I don't know. And it's also we talked about it in somewhere, not you and I, rules. It came up as a question where now it has a wonky interaction with great size because of how everything's written. So now, if I have, I'm going to go for the silliest example. I have a tiny character with plasticity. And I have a giant character without plasticity that's on my team. So those are both friendly to me. And I have an opposing colossal. The opposing colossal needs to roll a 6 to break away unless it can use phasing teleport, plasticity, leap climb, or hypersonic speed. Now, sure, that's an improvement in that specific instance. But for most people, because of how plasticity's been over the years, and this is just a drastic shift, it's going to be like, what? I'm 3 sizes bigger than him. Yeah, but you're not. You're only 1 size bigger than the giant, so you don't get your modifier because you're breaking away from both of them. And that one has plasticity. Roll 6. You roll 6. You're staying right there, buddy. Oops.
Now, have we ever seen a tiny character have plasticity?
Yeah.
Which character was it?
I'm not Jay. I don't have these things in my head, but I know there was an instance where I played a figure. I believe it was tiny. I think it was actually in a grinder, and it was that situation where I think it was an opposing giant character. I had a tiny and a standard size character. So then there was all those different calculations because it's like, no. And I think this was even before the 2017 rules. So that's where it was also different. But it's that thing where it's, well, there's 2 different sizes, so you don't get the automatic breakaway. I don't know. But it's not a lot. There's not that many.
I'm thinking
But even still, yes, that's probably the one that everyone can think of.
I think it's the Fast Forces one with the special movement.
Yeah.
Might have been it.
But you're still going to run into it. I went for the silliest example, but you're still going to run into it with a standard size. I mean, standard size characters have
and colossal. Yes.
Yeah. You're still going to run into that. And it's just, I also don't like, and this is just my personal approach. It's not necessarily, this is better or worse. This is just literally my emotional, I don't like this. I don't like a power that says, if you have this list of powers, you get to break away like this. It feels silly. Because like I said, too, that's where when we were talking about the size, someone's like, well, great size says this. And it's like, yeah, great size isn't listed in plasticity. So great size doesn't matter to plasticity. Plasticity says it doesn't.
So now we have this weird interaction of which one takes precedence. Is it the size or is it the power? Because the size chart still exists. But then again, the wording of plasticity is contradictory to now the size chart.
Well, because in the comp, great size characters succeed on a 3 through 6. That's what the comp says.
Yes.
So that doesn't get around plasticity. When it was a +1 or +2 or whatever, then it would, but then it might because you're adjusting the roll. But now it's no, you succeed on these rolls, and plasticity doesn't care what rolls you succeed on. Plasticity says the character itself breaks away on anything but a 1, and unless you have these specific powers, you have to break away on a 6.
So it seems like they just assumed that it would translate correctly, and then afterwards, and everything was printed and done, they're like, oh, we completely closed the loop on that. Now it doesn't work at all.
Well,
yes.
As much as I don't like to cast aspersions, and I'm just being honest, I'm not sure that anyone that worked on these rules is aware of this right now.
Oh, they will be once this
gets
published.
Yes, correct.
I mean,
but before, because I've had other things where people that are volunteers not necessarily let people know them because they go to convention, have flat out said, that doesn't work the way Joe said. Okay, why not? Well, it just doesn't. No, this is how everything works because this is what everything says. So there's a disconnect between the people who are, some who are enforcing the rules and the people who are reading the rules.
So basically, there's this big created gray area where we have documentation out there and nothing has been settled, because last time I checked, nothing has said that the size scale doesn't work the way it does anymore. There's no document.
Right, besides
except
for
those specific things saying, hey, this is how great size works now, and so on and so forth. But we still have this size thing where it's like, hey, if you're +2 sizes, you just break away. Correct.
And that's the problem, because that's what somebody else brought up. It goes, well, we don't know that the comp overrules the PAC. And it's one of those things where right now, the comp has to. If the comp doesn't overrule what the PAC says where they are in conflict, then the comp is useless, because the PAC was published, time was taken, and then the comp was released. So right, wrong, or indifferent, the most recent document that is to be the comprehensive rule book has to be the authority. If it doesn't, everything breaks down, and you can just argue, well, yeah, but sure, the comp fixes that, but I don't think it should take priority. The comp has to take priority
because it is the most complete rule book we have.
Right.
The comprehensive rule book is the top tier rule book. The way I look at it is comp rulebook, PAC, and then that other thing they published with Wonder Woman 80.
It's quick start rules.
It's quick start. I mean, it's dumb.
I love quick start rules, fine, but
it's quick start rules.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that.
It's simplistic language for new players to look through the rulebook and be able to complete a game and not go into a lot of complexity. And then once they dive in further and further, they'll just spiral down into the depths where,
where I live. Hi.
Yeah, what the hell?
Like, hey, Joe, you know stuff.
They just spiral down with the trench. Or all of us, hey, let me look at the rules. And they realize, wow, this is a whole lot more convoluted than we thought, because this sparkly new rulebook said it was easy. And now here we are.
Yeah.
But again,
what's equipment? It's not even in this rule book, and they gave us equipment. I don't know how that works.
Is there equipment in the battlegrounds?
There is for these scenarios, but it is equipment. It functions as equipment. It is labeled as equipment. It has effects. And if you've never played HeroClix before, you have no idea how it works.
Is it spelled out on the actual equipment? Oh boy.
No.
Moving on.
Because I've seen it. It's on the backside of a bystander, basically, and it says like equip any effect, whatever the effect is. So it's like a card. It's like you would get an equipment card, but if you don't know standard, power, action to equip, you just look at it and go like, okay,
what does equip mean?
What's this? Right.
Okay. So moving on. Last power that you think. Now this might be a toss-up, because I agree with everything so far. Plasticity, I still think plasticity is good, but it does create. You're looking at it more as like from the rule stand, like it creates this weird vortex of not moving and moving. So what's the last one we can say that got hosed?
It's a drum I've been beating for a while, and I'm going to say it. Stealth.
Oh.
I think stealth is the worst it's been in ever.
Really? Just because it can be outwitted now?
That's the specific change, but even before that, there's so much improved targeting in the game that, in my opinion, stealth was already weakened. Stealth was already on shaky legs. There was improved targeting when it got introduced was fine because it was sparingly, it was mostly handed out with TAs at the time. So Superman ally and stuff. It's like, all right, cool. It's counterbalance. You're not just getting shut down because of character had stealth. And that was back when you could TK at object at people in stealth. It's like, okay, there's some give and take. You're not just screwed. It's not just stealth team, haha, see you. And then everyone got improved targeting. And I'm already like, okay. And then, I can just walk up next to you and I can draw a line of fire to you. So screw your stealth. And it's like, okay. So now, I mean, sure, if you don't have outwit, you can't do it to them. But if you do, my stealth team or my stealth character, the one, like, a lot of stealth characters don't have strong reducers. Some do, but a lot don't have strong reducers. Or they'll have combat reflexes. Okay, I outwit your stealth. I'm going to shoot your 17 with combat reflexes. And okay, you get an 18 now. Okay, I can hit an 18.
I'll get an 18. I'm in hindering, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. But it's just that where it's like, okay, it just, and that's all stealth does. That's all stealth's ever done is make a hindered line of fire into a blocked line of fire. That's all it's ever done. And it barely does that now. He took the one thing it did and said, well, there's like 9 ways you can't do that anymore.
And so do you think that maybe Outwit got too much of a buff with the stealth change?
I mean, yes.
Because now I have to have Outwit on my team no matter what.
Right. I mean, and Outwit is available, and it's such a good secondary power. I don't want to say support power, but it's such a good utility power. You're gonna want Outwit if you can get it.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have Outwit. Like if you're planning and not just going, let me just grab some figures. Like you're mostly gonna have Outwit or some form of Outwit, or starter Reed Richards and Dr. Doom, where it's not really Outwit, but it's Outwit. But you're gonna have access to that stuff. So, and also, I just hated it on principle because I didn't like giving in to the whiners. Why can't I draw a line of fire to somebody that's next to me?
Because the rules say we can't.
Because the rules say we can't, and they're like, well, that's not accurate. I'm like, clearly you've never done anything with any kind of firearm. Because being able to see somebody versus having a clear line of fire are two very distinct concepts that are not the same. Just because you can see somebody doesn't mean you have a clear line of fire to them.
That's like being a kid and being like, I can't see you, so you can't see me. And you're like, bro, I'm right at you. But that's stupid. It's like, but I can't see you when I'm standing there, so you can't see me. Ow, I got shot with something. Yeah, I can still see you, dummy. So, all right. So there we go. Three powers that may have gotten hosed with changes. What are 3? And I know what my 3 are very easily. What are 3 powers that we feel were probably strong or weak and are now like pretty balanced? And why is your number 1 pick Perplex? Because it's mine.
Whatever. Perplex is Perplex. Perplex is Perplex.
But I'm very Perplex finally got. I mean, there's no point to play in power or enhancement ever with old Perplex.
Sure.
And there is so much Perplex out there. Let me see. Am I going to find a good enhancement figure, or am I just going to play, what the hell is his name? Big Tony. Or am I just going to play a Billy Batson? I'm
the wrong person to talk that about because I love Shield, and I've always loved using, and Shield is power action to get enhancement.
But again, though, it's you have to sacrifice something to be able to use it. It's balanced. Enhancement, you have to be next to the person to get the buff. Perplex, the Vulture Bomb showed just. It wasn't so much Vulture. Everyone wanted to blame Vulture, like Vulture's broken. No. It's all the things you can pack into a 300-point team to make Vulture broken. the fact that I can get his combat values up by 3 in attack and up by 3 in damage, and then get octopus arms on him, and then get him across the map. Like, there's so much utility and support inside, and people are like, oh, 300 points, it's a lot. You can't get that much. Well, obviously you can get a lot in it if you can get one dude up to 6 damage going across the map, basically. Like, if you build correctly and you balance out a team. So people wanted to complain about it being Vulture, and I don't necessarily think it was so much Vulture. And I think that the change to Perplex is a direct correlation to that. It's like, all right, we need to do something with this so people will start utilizing enhancement and power a little smarter.
And when I say Perplex is Perplex, all I mean is it did what it did before. It does what it does now, with the exception of damage, which is I don't view as, and this is just me, I don't view it as necessarily, even though it is a power adjustment, I think of it as, hopefully, a game design adjustment. Like, if you want to say it's the object change. We don't want you dealing as much damage because we don't want you one-shotting things, because we want you to actually play the game, not just hit 3 attacks, game over. I'm fine with that, and that's good. But that has to, the change to Perplex doesn't fix that on its own if we're still getting characters with 4 and 5 printed damages on a 90-point figure. That's not me saying, here's an example. I'm just saying it's part of an ongoing thing. So that's where I go, good, Perplex is fine, but it has to follow through on the character design.
Yes. Yes.
There was somebody, I can't remember who it was, but there was somebody where I'm like, they can still get like a 7 damage with no problem. But whatever. I don't remember who it was, so that's where.
But that goes into the next one where we talk about close combat expert and range combat expert, because they're not balanced anymore. They're way more utilized, but they're not. They finally got the buff that they deserved. But what is another power you think finally got brought back down to balance? Yes, my number 2 pick is. What's that?
Yeah, go ahead.
My number 2 pick is going to be one that people are going to complain about, but it's Pulse Wave. Okay. Pulse Wave, I think I think it's in the right area. I think it needs a little more fine tuning. But yeah, I think getting rid of full damage Pulse Wave was a net positive. Absolutely. I do agree with that. Yeah.
I think if the one thing I would tweak it is, I don't necessarily see a problem with it just being energy explosion, just 2 damage. Like, I don't think that's a huge thing, especially with so many stop clicks out there. But that's like I said, that's a fine tuning. That's not it's so terrible now. No, it's just a little tweaking.
But it's also it could be sold to say, well, we just brought it up, so everything is all in unison. Energy explosion deals your 2 damage to a group that can be reduced. Your quake deals you 2 damage to people in close combat that can be reduced. Your pulse wave deals 2 damage to everybody, and it cuts through powers. So you have your ranged one for 2 damage, you have your close one for 2 damage, and then you have your range/close one for 2 damage through everything. Now, people are going to say, well, what about, like, you still have Quake Exploit, that combo now, so you can still Quake and you can deal penetrating, and you have your Energy Explosion, penetrating Psychic Blast, which is the same thing as the Quake Exploit. So there are still ways to exploit those 2 powers with another power, and they combo again. So you can either try to waste time getting that combination, or you can just find Pulse Wave guys, and it's all on the same page. Here's what they are. This can be reduced. This one is a little stronger than everything, and it should be on characters that represent that. Like, I'm okay seeing a Punisher with Energy Explosion. I'm okay with like someone like Quake, having Quake and dealing that, or even like somebody, again, it's the first one that came to my mind that had Quake was Quake, because I'm an idiot. But then it's
It's an
okay.
old joke.
Exactly. But then it's okay to show off, like, a really cool Human Torch that has Pulse Wave, because Johnny Storm should have Pulse Wave. Or like a Nova or something like that. Something that can go to that next level. Dark Phoenix. Something along those lines. Like, okay, Frank Castle should be able to deal a big amount of damage to people, but it can be reduced because it's Frank Castle. But, Johnny Storm going Nova Blast should be able to get through your defenses. So I think that, yes, Pulse Wave it's going in the right direction to where you can't, again, now I've named off two powers that used to be used together. You perplex up someone's damage, they would running shot to single target that guy, and now their 2 damage is now a 5 damage single target Pulse Wave, and it's like, we never really meant for this to happen here, but now it is. And I think too many players they got lazy. It's a strong word to use, but they got lazy. They got complacent. Like, this is an archetype, just the old dump and run. I'm just gonna dump it all into the damage, run them out there, and hope for the best, and see if I can cripple a team by hitting for a big damage on one of their big characters. There's more strategy looking forward in the game by reducing some of these powers that were a little over the top.
Yeah. And it's better, in my opinion, it's better to reduce damage output overall than go back to let's have 9 clicks of life, but you really don't care about the last 4 because they're pointless. Or if we make the last 4 great, then the game never ends because you just can't get through those last clicks. Let's mitigate damage instead. So it's like, okay, it's what I said. I've had a couple through my time. There's been a few times where I go, I didn't play HeroClix. Even in matches where I won, it was I sat here for 30 minutes while my opponent took 30-minute turns planning things out. That wasn't playing HeroClix.
No, it was them trying to hit me when they couldn't.
Yeah. Or just burning time. But either way, it's just there where it's like playing HeroClix is I move, you move, we make attacks, roll dice. Okay, whatever happens, adjust and continue. That's playing the game. I'm gonna have a 7 pulse wave on your 10th pull, and F you because none of the rest of your team can damage me. Okay, you won. You didn't play the game. You didn't play HeroClix.
Playing HeroClix should be between 7 and 12 turns a person. If you're getting less than 7 turns, I would maybe even 8 turns in a game, then you are either playing the game incorrectly in 2 different ways, where you're just demolishing a team too early, or you're just really slow on pace.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, right in that 7 to 8 range is I feel is a good game of HeroClix. Maybe even more. What's that?
I found one I think is balanced now.
Okay, now the third one that we feel was either too soft or too heavy and is now pretty balanced. What do you got?
Precision Strike.
Yes.
Because I like it being able to multi-target again, and
yes.
I'm fine with it not having the mastermind thing anymore. Good. That's great. That's fine. It's a nice little tool. It can combo, but it's not going to. Most of the time, it's not. Well, yeah, most of the time, it's not going to make or break any team.
It's not super strong like it was before, where you couldn't roll super senses at all and you could multi-target. But it's also not completely pointless, where you can only use it against one person. And if you're going to multi-target, Precision Strike is now completely useless because you can't use it. It's finally found that balance in the middle where it's like, okay, let's take the one Precision Strike that was too good and the other Precision Strike that was not good enough, and let's make a baby. And then that's precision strike.
And that's the story of Jesus.
And that, don't. All right, so, and then we go to, and this is going to be where we discuss what was wanted to be discussed a little bit, where we're going to probably have to blend over power interactions a little bit. 3 powers, and we're just going to group range combat expert and close combat expert together because it's the same power. 3 powers that finally got that buff they deserved and can now interact more freely. And again, we go with, I mean, my first pick is range combat expert, close combat expert. The fact that I can now running shot and range combat expert is amazing. The change to range combat expert, obviously, for people that don't know, you don't pick if it's 2 in attack, if it's 2 in damage, or if it's 1 in 1. It's a net 1 attack and 1 damage for your range combat expert or your close combat expert. But the payoff is it can now be comboed with range combat expert. I believe it can also be comboed with hypersonic speed because now it's just a net. So your range combat expert, that was usually a power action. So it was like, okay, I'm going to move Green Arrow on this turn, and then hopefully nobody runs away, and I can still see them with Green Arrow. Shit, they moved. Now I got to pick up the arrows. We got to move again. Okay, we're in range now. Shit, they moved it. All right, now I'm pushed. Damn it. Green Arrow is not mobile. So now you can do all the fun stuff.
The other thing it got that people are overlooking, but I think once people are playing in person again, it's going to come up more and more, is that both the experts also give you the bonus to damage when you're doing a close destroy or a range destroy.
Yes.
And that, I mean, it's a few others do too. I think, enhancement and power do too. But that's just it. So now there's, okay, we can't perplex up the damage anymore because I want to blow up that wall. But power enhancement, if you have CCE, if you have RCE, now you're still getting that boost. And you could pair them to, okay, I want to blow up that. I only have 1 damage because I'm playing Legacy Destiny. No, she has a 0 damage. So whatever.
She's a 0. Yeah.
Okay, but still, whatever. I'll just empower. I'll enhance her twice, and then boom. Doesn't she have RC? I can't remember. I don't own that Destiny. I don't remember figures I don't own.
I don't have her. I did have her around. I think she's over on the dresser. She has probability control to start.
Okay.
I know that for a fact. I don't know if
whatever. The point is, there's different ways to get those low damages up.
Like that old school, like lame Hawkeye that did 1 damage with RCE. You can enhance them, and then you can use RCE, and you can blow stuff. It gives you more utility. But what it balances out to is that range combat expert and close combat expert give you more utility, so they can be used at running shot and hypersonic speed and charge and all those things. You don't have to set up a turn and then power action to use range combat expert and close combat expert. And as we mentioned before, other powers that are passive, we use that term more frequently now as passive, meaning that these powers are basically, I hate to use the term always on, but they're always, I guess they're always in play when you are making an attack that triggers them, like a close combat attack or a range combat attack. So your abilities like precision, how precision strike used to work and still does work, a lot more powers work that way. So your energy explosion pairs with your penetrating psychic blast now. Your flurry, close combat expert, exploit all work now, which that they didn't do. I mean, shit, you can technically flurry, precision strike, blades, close combat expert, exploit. All of that works. All at the same time if you have all on your dial.
So simple.
Do you need it? No. But maybe you trigger your close combat expert so you can get the +1 to your attack, and then after you hit, you go, you know what? I'm only dealing 3 damage with the close combat expert. Let me roll for my blades now. Oh, cool. Look at that. I rolled a 5. So you get the +1 from your close combat expert, but then you still get to roll for your blades and potentially do even more damage. So yes, people are going to say the game's supposed to be simpler and this and that. Well, it's very simple. Basically, everything's always on. It's nuts. It's going to lead to probably more problems down the road, to the point where more erratas and clarifications are going to need to be done. Probably, like you've pointed out with plasticity, there's going to have to be either a change to plasticity or a new size document that comes out that will explain further, like, hey, because of the new rule with plasticity, this is your new size chart. That free breaking away goes away, but you get this against smaller characters or so on. And so, I don't know. But obviously, there's going to be some growing pains with this. And right now, everything is pretty hunky-dory because we don't have regular games happening. I mean, it's summertime. We would usually have super qualifiers happening. We would have, by this time in the year, we would have already had the spring and the summer Wizkids Opens popped off and probably done by now. Summer Wizkids Opens are probably happening. So we would have, I mean, just by the spring Wizkids Opens alone, we would have probably had, 30 events that we would have had results, we would have had questions about power interactions. We don't have that right now. The only event that we've really had this year so far was the Scott Porter Invitational.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, like, we're kind of slapping together just rulings quickly, and we have some data, but there's still
rolling.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of, as you pointed out, a lot of openings for interpretation. And I've seen your posts on the Clix Cup stuff, like preemptively, and I give you credit for it, for preemptively being like, hey, this is how this is being ruled. Just to give you guys all a heads up, this is the way I'm ruling it. Like, if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but this is the way that I am interpreting it. I am the head judge for this event. This is how it's being ruled because we don't technically have a ruling on it yet. So and again, you're doing this because you'd much rather have people know what they're walking into than to get there and be like, well, that's not the way I look at it. Well, cool. I already posted it 2 months ago. This is the way we're going to rule it. So you had time.
It's still going to happen. Too.
Of course it is. You're still going to have those 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 guys that are like, but again, like, it's the same thing. And I'm going to call out George Massow because he's a buddy of mine. Like, when I had him on the show and he was like, well, when Pulse Wave gets ruled that way, you can say I was wrong. Well, you were wrong, George. But he was going to look at it that way. I'm just going to look at it this way because this is the way I want it to work. And if you tell me otherwise, I'm going to just keep doing it that way until I get a ruling.
On that subject, the one thing that I love, and I think it's in the comp. Isn't the comp or it's got to be in the comp because they haven't updated tournament rules in forever. So I'm the only one that reads tournament rules apparently. That you are now responsible for bringing the errata for any figure you play.
That's awesome.
Which means if you show up and whether by malice or just, hey, had a brain fart, you try to pull something over on somebody by playing a figure the way it's not been fixed to play, that's grounds for disqualification straight up. And it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it should be. Because, and it's one of the things that I've kind of been bringing up, and I plan on when we're all down there in the same room together, giving the speech, there's no reason not to be a good sport. There's no reason not to just play by the rules. Like, honest mistakes happen, but there's a certain element of gotcha, but of that where it's let me just see how far I can push things. I know this isn't how it's supposed to work, but let me just see if I can push it that way and get someone to agree with me and get someone in a position of authority to agree with me because I want it to work that way. And there's no reason for that to be it. You should always, I'm a hardliner about not giving strategy to my opponent, because at that point, whoever you are, I'm not just playing against you, I'm playing against myself. And
Yes.
if I have, if I'm playing a kid, it's one thing. That's people who say, well, if you're playing a kid, if I'm playing a kid at my venue, I'll tell them exactly how to beat me, because they're like 10 years
Isaac.
old and they're learning the thing. Well, Isaac's different, and he's the chosen one, and we all know that. Yeah, no, Isaac, I ain't never, I'll be asking Isaac for advice. Hey, Isaac, what should I do here? But no, but it's just, but there's no reason. I'll tell people something's an illegal move, or I'll explain to them. I mean, I've sat there at WKOs, I sat there at Worlds in Philly and walked people through rules interactions and went, no, this is, I see what you're saying, but this is how this actually works. And if you want to do that, this is what you would have to do. I mean, there's plenty of times where after a match, I sit there with somebody who's newer to the game or just was not sure about something, and just talk to them and be like, okay, so here's what happened. Here's why this. Here's why. And pull out my PAC. I always have it with me. Here's why. Here's what it says.
Mm-hmm.
PJ's good about that. PJ will tell people stuff. More people need to be like PJ in that regard.
Yeah. Well, sometimes PJ needs to shut his mouth because we're in the middle of a battle royal and he's talking some dude to barrier and some shit, so I don't get the kill points, just so then he can quake all this dude's shit all up into the barrier.
Well, that's another thing, though, that I think of.
That's bullshit right there. That's what that is. All 417 members.
2019 anyway. Origin. I was in a battle royal, and I don't remember anybody's names because I'm terrible with names anyway. But we're going, and one guy was going, and he had I think he had a She-Hulk or something with close combat expert, and it was when you had to declare to him. And he said it. He was saying it real quick because he knew time was up, where it was coming close. He felt it.
He wanted to get that damage out.
Yeah, and but he said it, and I didn't understand what he said. And then the judge called and I was like, wait, what are you doing? I just want you. And then the judge called last action, and I looked. I go, listen, I don't care what the judge just said. You are making this attack. We are dealing all that damage. I just want us all to agree with what you are doing, so that if it works or it doesn't, we're all on the same page. I don't want you to feel slighted. I think it was my figure he's attacking, even if it wasn't. I don't want anybody to feel slighted. I understand. We just need to be on the same page. And he went, okay. And he made the attack and he missed. So it didn't matter. But I played him in the next battle royal, and it mattered in the sense that he knew I was a square player. He knew I wasn't going to try and cheat him.
Exactly. And then that's basically what PJ and I were doing. Was the guy he got hit a couple times pretty hard. And he was kind of like, well, there's not really anything I can do. He was kind of defeating himself. And PJ's like, no, there's still a lot of things you can do. This guy can still do stuff, and this guy, you still have 2 actions. And I'm like, yo, shut up. It's coming around to me soon. I'm going to get some of that right there. And he's like, well, no. And I'm like, no, you're just trying to do it. So now I'm fighting PJ while he's explaining. And I'm like, well, I mean, technically he's not lying to you. You do have actions, but you know that by you barriering like that, you're basically locking yourself in a room with his figure, right? Oh, I'll take my chances. And I was like, gah!
That's a big thing. And I think I'm weird in it because I think most people aren't this way. I will play any game out. I don't care if I literally cannot damage anything on your forwards. I will play the game out and I'll roll dice. Because that's what I would say is that's what we came to do, right?
Yeah.
Came to play HeroClix.
Again, if my team is getting if I'm in a battle royal and my team's getting mashed up or whatever, if I still have guys that have outwit or perplex or have probability control, I'm gonna try and keep that dude alive just to screw with the other players. Yeah, I'm gonna outwit your running shot. Hey, let's see what you guys can do with that. I'm gonna perplex up your attack. Why? Why not? Let's see what you can do. Just remember who perplexed you. Help me. You know what? I'll prob that roll. Let's see what we got. And then just try and get a cheap kill. I'm dealing 1 damage. All right, cool. He's done. Let me see if I can just ping a guy. Oh, cool. 15 points. Boink. They're like, whoop. That's right, man. I'm still playing over here. I'm not doing a whole lot because half my team is dead, but I'm still playing over here. I might be able to limp into a 3rd place, grab an object or something that gets dropped on the map. You never know. So with that being mentioned, I'm going to plug one of my own things here. July 10th, At 9 o'clock, I'm going to do an Ask Aries Anything. It's usually what I do for the Patreon, which I haven't done in a long time because I am a POS. And it's just, as you can ask Joe, it's been a long year and a half for all of us, and there are a lot of people who have let them that have dove into their content creation as a way of escaping and getting you know away from things, and then there are some people who have let the world kind of consume them, and it's eaten away their content creation, and that's definitely what's happened to me. So I'm trying to turn the page and get back to creating content as much as possible. So by doing that, July 10th at 9 p.m., I'm going to be posting up the Zoom link. I know that you don't like Zoom, but it's easier for me to put a bunch of people in one Zoom room to do it. Just by this conversation we had, I am going to be basically answering questions, giving you my opinion on anything and everything going on in the HeroClix world at the moment. Basically, completely uncensored. That I don't post on YouTube or I don't do live videos about and things like that. So two of the stories that I will talk about is a gotcha moment, as you were talking about gotcha moments that happened at Rhode Island State Championships many, many, many years ago, back when they had the outpost maps. Remember that from like the Wolverine? Like that's what is that? 4 years ago now? 5 years ago now? It's an old map. So a gotcha moment that happened at Rhode Island State's. And then I will also talk about a grimy play that I saw happen at the Philadelphia World Championships. So I won't use names, but I will talk about specific instances where certain things happened that I observed and was like, wow, that I didn't think would happen, and they actually did happen. And as always, big shout out to our sponsors, Sarge's Comics and Games, Clix Nexus, as you can see here with Clix Nexus Joe. Again, to shout out one of our old ones, Critical Hits Customs has closed up shop for good at the moment, but we do have another amazing creator of goods and services and things and trays and pogs and all kinds of good stuff with Jeremiah Peterson Customs, JPC. He doesn't have any kind of a logo or anything for me to put on the beginning of the show yet because he's too busy working on all of your orders and stuff. So I'm going to give him a hard time about not having his own logo yet for me to put at the beginning of the show. So I don't know. Try work on something for yourself for a change, Jeremiah, and get me a logo to put on the front of the show. Damn it.
No, just for Clix Cup, he still has to get done. No.
He just posted up that he just did 2 trays and a whole bunch of tokens.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
I think he might be. I don't know. He might be done, but
who the hell knows? That guy, Jeremiah Peterson, does amazing customs. Check his. I don't even know if does he even have his own page. I don't think he does. This guy,
no,
super grassroots.
People tag him all the time, so it still works out. But it is like, Jeremiah, I want to show people what you do so that they know what they're getting into.
Yeah, and he's just like, meh, my stuff around. Oh, I don't even want to. I just saw a post. I'm going to the Dishin of Clix page to get the questions that we were asked. And I just saw a question on the rules chat. Can I equip a team base?
I saw that.
Just going to keep on moving.
Yep.
Keep on moving. All right, we're going to jump right over to the questions as of right now because we're already pushing about an hour. So we talked about
I told you it's going to be a 3-hour show.
It's not a 3-hour show. I'm telling you that right now. We're not doing a 3-hour show. So Damian Pachuk, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Based on the new Rise and Fall X-Men set, how do you think that might affect current meta play? Are there any pieces that you've seen that may have an impact on the game going forward? Brad Broyles has already shown that if played correctly, Krakoan Revival is a contender. Rise and Fall gives us another new game mechanic called Rally. And looking at figures like Moira and Beast, being able to create rally tokens, and then Beast being able to, I believe, flip rally tokens around to different people. I think you can integrate it into a Krakoan revival team very well, where basically you can just keep your team alive. You could play it like Brad did, where you're playing to get, obviously, to get KO points. But I could also see where you could kind of turn it into almost like an undead team, an undying team. I get Beast, I get Moira and I get Beast. I create rally tokens and then I pass rally tokens around. If I frontline people like Colossus never takes damage because his rally trait is impervious, and he can take a rally die off of his card, and he gets basically that 5 for his impervious roll. So if I can create, and it's not a maximum of 1 rally die. So if I can frontline a couple of people that have like shape change or super senses or impervious as their rally effect, I get them out there, I tie up your figures, and I keep feeding them rally dies to make sure that they don't get KO'd. And then I keep a Krakoan revival guy in the back. So if for some reason I do get hit or I don't get my rally tokens out quick enough, I can just bring them back and get them out there to front line again. So X-Men is very strong right now. It's not the old school X-Men that we saw where it was aggro with ID cards and dealing huge damage and stuff, but X-Men is pretty stable at the moment. What is your take
and
on
there is still that, because Mimic's, in my opinion, Mimic's going to be the huge player.
Mimic? I forgot about Mimic. The Prime.
Mimic's going to stack up. Either one.
Because they're both really good. I like the Prime.
Yeah. The Prime's really good. Prime's just super. That's what I'm looking at right now. 150 top dial for the Prime's a little, but still it's just being able. I mean, the Prime, you can stack powers. You can plan powers to stack.
Absolutely.
And Mimic's the one I was thinking of, where Mimic top dial close can do a 13 attack, 5 damage without any help, because he has close combat expert with a printed 4 and a 12 attack before you give him anything else.
And how many points is he?
He's 150. So it's a big investment.
What's his second starting dial?
40. No, hold on. That's the other one. 60. It's 60.
Okay.
Which is still an 11-3. 11-3 with exploit. You build a cheap close combat expert, give him a rally die, and now he has close combat expert, 12-4 penetrating, and I think he has charge and flurry. So he's doing 12-4 penetrating.
Yeah. I'm playing the lower dial all day.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm playing the lower dial.
I always like being a little goofy and being like, let's go 150, let's see what happens. Because the 100 top dial for him, and again, this is where you know what you're building. He starts with impervious. You can really easy get him super senses, invincible, and shape change if you plan for it with the X-Men keyword. There's plenty of those powers. So let me have all the rollouts in the world, reducing penetrating damage, and a rollout to reduce penetrating damage. For 150 points with a 13-5 charge flurry, yeah, I'll spend 150 points on that.
I mean, yeah, it's really, you got to set it up to get all of those bells and whistles. The only reason I look at the 60-point dial is I know in the back of my mind I can revive it.
Yes.
If I have revival on the team, I know he's never going to die. I'm going to be able to keep bringing him back. 150, once he's gone, he's gone. I got no revival to get him back.
But he's going to be hard to kill.
But he's going to be a beat stick.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's huge. Mystique, I think, is the one that has. I don't know if she doesn't have really. It's probably the other one. Because we got 2 Mystiques in this set. That's what we needed. I like Mystique. Yeah, that's where it is. It's the uncommon Mystique has the rally where she can auto succeed on super senses if she has her rally. That's going to be big. I actually like.
I mean, technically we got 3 Mystiques. We got Death Strike.
2.5.
It looks more like a Mystique than it does a Lady Deathstrike. Well, actually, it looks like it could be either or. Like there's no separation at all. It could be a really good Lady Deathstrike or a really good Mystique, but they don't. I don't know. It doesn't blend like it looks like. I can. All right, that's definitely Lady Deathstrike, and that's definitely the Mystique. It's like they're two similar figures in a sense. So, anyways, go ahead. Like
it's not like Mystique can't just extend her fingers. She's a shapeshifter. I really like Salvage. I mean, it's not on that many characters, but I think Salvage has potential.
Yes.
Something cool. Just as a cool, different, mechanic. It's also, I like it's very, as far as I'm concerned, it's very straightforward. Here, take a free action, roll a die. Cool. Like, good. That's what I want if you're going to introduce things. Dupe Pool is where it's at.
Oh, Dupe Pool is amazing. Probably the best chase we've seen.
I love it.
3 stop clicks. I like it.
Yeah, why not? The uncommon Magneto and the uncommon Professor X that can swap characters in. That's going to be, people like being able to swap things out.
Even though
it's already creating issues, but yeah, I mean there'll be a lot of good things. I like having a Shaw that has Dracone Revival just because he should.
Yep.
I have a soft spot for Shaw. There's some good stuff in this. I mean, I know I've seen a couple people, gonna skip the set. I mean, go ahead if you want. But I'll tell you this, I skipped Xavier's School years ago, and I paid for that for 2 years.
Don't stop moving. Yeah, oh god, Xavier School? Anybody who skips, like, Xavier School?
It was just because I have to take a set off. That's all it was. I was like, I'm buying every set. Let me just take this set off without knowing what was in it.
And then they start showing off ID cards, and you're like, damn it.
I never played ID cards, but yeah. It was more than they show Wolverine and Cyclops, and I'm like, great. Super.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing you're really getting your mileage out of that Cyclops now that it's got a legacy card.
I know, right?
That's a whole different. That's a whole different episode. Next question is Nicholas Pike. What's your opinion on the most underrated Clix in Modern that people should be playing but are not?
Maggot. Everyone should have Maggot on their team.
I don't think he's underrated, though.
Until everyone has Maggot on their team, he's underrated. Everyone should have Maggot on their team.
All right, so going quickly because of that, Richard Leo says, what's the over-under of you getting a card and me and Devin getting our figures by 2022?
Not good.
Back to the question. Most underrated Clix in Modern. Like, we've talked about it. Like, there's not a lot. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There hasn't been enough tournaments for me to be like, okay, cool. So this is what is really crushing. I guess I'll go with this then. It's not really a click, but I'm gonna say mission points.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's something to be had with mission points. Like, I don't know how yet because there's not enough based around them. But I could see an Ares Uatu team or an Ares and Zeus team, or like, obviously you can't just have one mission point character. I feel like if you only play one mission point character, you're setting yourself up for failure, because as soon as that character gets hit hard, like you put a bullseye on that character right away. So as soon as they hit that character hard, they already know that you're playing for mission points. So now you're having to backpedal to try and now get KOs to balance, there's definitely a thing that can be done with mission points. I just don't know how the hell you do it yet.
And it may take another figure or two for that. That's always what happens. That's what I always try to remember when everyone, because the other thing I would say too, to go back to the first question, I know people will disagree with this, but there is no meta right now.
No.
There's not enough events going on for there to be any kind of a meta. You have people playing things. You have people trying out new stuff, or you have people playing stuff that used to work, or a mishmash of both, and hopefully having fun and playing games. That's what you have right now. You don't really have any kind of a sense of the meta. Now, people will tell you that they know what it is, and I will remind everyone, one of the things that Colossus reminded me of that I love, when Balls of Fury came out, he was a $5 super rare for the first month he was released. Then Age of Ultron came out, and then all of a sudden, he was the hot meta. So,
and it wasn't even him; it was the ID card. The ID card
was
what
being
made
able
him
to
the
play a
hot meta.
$30 Ultra or 30-point Ultron and bring out him with an ID card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I've made the joke elsewhere. Everyone who tries to tell you they know what the next meta is, if you look back, they're all wrong. It's not even, oh, maybe. No. Every prediction has been wrong. Besides, oh, that's a good figure. There's a lot of good figures. And it takes somebody building around them and playing them. And it's more important, let me get on my soapbox, it's more important to know your team and know how your team works and know what your team can do and know the ins and outs of it. You can play. A month before I won New York State's, Pun Machine was fringe. I guess maybe he's good. I guess maybe. I played the same double Marvel Widow, all the same crap that everyone else was playing at top tier teams, and Pun Machine beat them all. So you just got to know your team.
That's basically what it boils down to as well. I hate to make the comparison, but it's always the easiest one to make. Is that people who come from Magic think that HeroClix is like that. I can just buy the best stuff and play, and I'll win. Where in Magic, you have to be able to draw into certain cards, and then once you draw into certain cards, they just kind of play themselves sometimes, where they'll combo, and then it's like, okay, I have this infinite loop now of whatever. So it's not so much. There's not a lot of battle strategy that goes into it. It's just a bunch of odds. Like, I'm gonna throw in a bunch of card search in my deck to be able to pull out the cards that I need to be able to combo to get the one thing that I'm doing with this deck off. And I have a 45% chance of doing it because of the cards that I've put in the deck. With HeroClix, it's a much different thing because the odds are always changing, and then there's battle strategy. I can move a figure into a spot that I shouldn't have, and that's going to cost me. And then sometimes the better team doesn't win because of poor play or bad rolls or whatever. But if there's a deck that's made to where it goes a certain way, and I know I'm going to do that 45% of the time because of the amount of card draw in the sideboard that I have, it's always going to be a constant. I can constantly do this 45% of the time, and I'm okay with that because I've built it that way. While you could win with your HeroClix team in one tournament 90% of the time, and then go to another tournament and win 20% of the time because you played like shit. You didn't get the map that you wanted to play on. There's more variables in HeroClix. So to say that this is the specific meta or this is the specific, it's false. You can, again, like you said, you can pick and choose, like, this figure is good on multiple teams. Like Unseen. I said it years ago. I think Unseen is a very good figure. And it's not because it's dealing big damage or dealing that. It was just a really good support figure, and it made its way onto a lot of teams. And a lot of teams that won. But there are other things that those teams were doing. So,
well, same thing with Vulture.
yes.
Vulture is good, but Vulture, what people complained about, Vulture shut down a very specific type of build. POG generators. There were a lot of POG generators at the time. There still are, but you're not going to run those with Vulture because Vulture loves to see that.
Because he's going to stack his cards.
Yeah. And in an ultimate sense, that is the truest sense of the meta.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to get any kind of game where every type of team is viable. There are ebbs and flows,
Yes,
and you
it's like
just
a
got to
weird
learn how to ride it. Right. You just got to learn how to ride it, or don't, and don't play. I mean, again, we talked about it on somebody else's show. I never liked ID cards. I don't like playing against something that's not on the map because how do I fight something that's not there? That's just me. But oh well. I mean, it was a part of the game. May still be a part of the game in Silver Age. I'm not going to say, oh, ID cards should never exist because I don't like them. It's just a personal thing, and I make the choice based on that. And
Yeah.
as long as they work, and as long as there's some sort of balance to it, and you can make those arguments, but too often I think people jump to, well, I can't play the team I want to play, so that thing needs to go away. Like, no, like just play a different team.
You need to build something that can specifically counter it, or has
Right.
some sort of a counter. You need to have a Swiss Army knife. You need to have something that can, to have a really good team, you need to have something that can counter multiple archetypes. Whether that be my team can deal big damage and is also kind of undying, but also does this. Okay, cool. I'll give um Isaac's team that won Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
It could deal big damage. It could manipulate dice really well, and it's also just being piloted by a really good player as well. People tried to play what he did, but
Yeah.
nobody played the exact same team as him. And nobody at the beginning of this thought that that was going to be the team that won, because Unimind was still a team. You still had Lucas Tom Van Hollen there, Joey Seven Names playing Tri-Sentinels out the ass. Like, you still had Wales. Like, you still had all of these other archetypes that were like, oh man, and then Isaac just snuck in there with like, yeah, this team is really, really good. I can pilot it really well, and it does a lot of things that I like.
And before Philly, Wales, that never is going to work. The intelligentsia. Oh no, Wales. That I mean, it's good. It's a gatekeeper team, but that could never go the distance. And
And
it
it did.
did. Yeah,
And
nothing will work until it does.
And everyone had to eat crow
Yeah,
because Tyler championed something that he enjoyed to play. He could pilot really well, and it did a lot of things that he liked. And that was it. Nobody else played Wales. Nobody else played what he played. But it checked off a lot of boxes that he liked. That's it.
and
You had all the Penguin teams, and you had Unimind still then. God, how long was Unimind around for? Jesus.
Forever.
What? God, I'm so glad that thing is dead. And you had Goblin King teams as well with that bullshit Tony Stark car. Just, I'm going to sit here and do nothing, and hopefully I win. Like, you had Alpha Strike teams then because Sam Cap was still big. I played an Alpha Strike team. I played a weird one too. I had Batgirl on it and stuff.
I played Toy Soldier, and I was like one match from qualifying. And I will take that as a moral victory.
I was 18th in a top 16.
Yeah. It said you were right out.
99 points. I still remember it. 99 points. That's what I missed the cut by. I was 3-1 with the 99 points. And the team that did me in, that handed me my one loss, and I couldn't get enough points on because I just couldn't roll high enough against, was that stupid fucking Super Friends team. And yes, I'm dropping an F-bomb. I've been trying to be really good on my videos and not dropping the F-bomb, but when it comes to that Super fucking Friends team, I chucked me all over the map. I couldn't do nothing against Apache Chief. I had opportunities to hit Green Lantern and Flash and missed, and he beat me by like 25 points. I had an opportunity to win. I was at like the 4th spot on the table. Who was that? Munson? Was that?
I don't remember.
Ken Munson?
I don't hold any of this in my head.
I do, because it was 99 points.
Aries, how do you think I feel? You know who I played first round of that? Because remember, that was the after Team World. So, like, the night before, I'd gone and got myself a cheesesteak. I was like, yay, woo!
Oh,
And
yeah,
then first round, I pull out my old man spider, my tri-sentinel. Did I do Shredder clone? It was a mystical theme team, a toy soldier, and I look across and I go, hey, Wales.
Oh. Oh.
And he won map and he put us on the Gotham Museum. I'm like, all right, cool. Yep. All right, let's go.
And 5 turns later,
Yep.
I was toast. I played Tony Rodriguez and I did him dirty as all hell. I did him. I'm gonna write it down, and we will talk about it July 10th. You're not getting that story here. Tony Rod Philly Worlds.
Hi, Tony.
We'll talk about it on July 10th in the Zoom. He was one of the best. Probably, yeah. With him and playing Dustin Cedars and teams were two of the funnest experiences I had at that Worlds event. And it was mostly because of how dirty I did Tony. He played everything correctly, and I just did him. And he was just like, by the time it was over with, he wanted to go back to Cali. It was bad. And we were both like, oh! I'll go into more details July 10th.
Every time I see both of them, Dustin and Tony, I'm always happy to see them because they always seem like they're happy to see me. They're good guys. I like both of them.
Dustin,
Tony was the first person I saw down in Memphis.
The first person I saw in Memphis, besides the 2 guys that were on the plane with me that pulled me aside and asked me if I was going to Memphis, was DJ Riggin. He was outside there, came running up, gave me a big hug. I mean, for anybody who hasn't been to a big event like that, you have to go.
Yeah.
Because even when you're having a bad time, and Memphis was a very bad time. I did really poor. I played with 2 great teammates. I played with Kenji Kineshiro and Jason Keem, and I played like dog shit and felt like I completely let them down. So I didn't qualify there. And then I played in the last chance qualifier and didn't qualify there either. So by day 1, I was already like, I'm going to go change my flight and surprise my wife and go home. I can't play in the championship. There's no point in me even stay. And this is like after like me not even thinking about being able to go to Worlds, and my wife surprised me like 2 weeks ahead of time, being like, "Hey, like you're going. Like I'm like we can if you can find a place to stay." And Jeremy Walters, thank you for letting me crash with you. It was me, Jeremy Walters, and Tom Kerr. Amazing. And she surprised me with a plane ticket, and I was there, and I was like, I literally wasted all that money. I wasted a plane ticket. Like, I was so just completely defeated after the first day. And then by the end of the trip, I was like, this is the best trip ever. I got to play in Battle Royals. I got to just chill and have fun. I got a Superman Prime. But after that first day, nah, I was ready to walk. I wasn't going to spend money in the Uber. I'm just going to walk to the hotel. And then I'm going to just walk to the airport.
Yeah, I remember me and Nick got in. We went to the hotel. We were literally just getting in off of our flight, going in. And Tony and Steve get out of like a taxi. Yeah, get out of a taxi. And I just go, what are you guys doing here? And they go, oh, we were just playing at a pre-release at one of the locals. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I heard like a bunch of people were gone. I'm like, where'd everyone go? They're like, oh, there's a pre-release happening. Like, I'm like, damn, bro, I wish I would have known that. Like, all right, like,
yeah, it was fun.
Got to be in the inner circle to know that.
That's true. And then that trip ended. That con ended for me. This is the best part. So they were doing the whole. We knew it was skirmish, but we didn't know it was skirmish. And they were doing the whole, who wants to play? And little tip, because I've been around and I know cons, and I mean not conventions, but like con artists.
Like cons, like follow the queen, free card money.
So they're doing the drawings. Who's going to be in the special event? Who's going to be in the special event? And I wasn't doing anything else. I stood by the table, just waited, just hung out, talked to people, waited. Somebody gets drawn. Well, I don't want to do this. Who wants it? There I am. Oh, I'll take it. So then I got to play in a skirmish with Howard Brock, Scott Crampton, and Kenny Pena.
Yeah,
that was my 3 people, which I won. Just so everyone knows, I beat Kenny.
But it's not in real Hero Clix; it's in skirmish Clix.
Yeah, no, it's in the format he designed. It's even better.
Oh, touche.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Kenny should know I love him. We had fun. It was a fun time. But yeah, I just like, hey, look, what are you doing, huh? Just waiting. But yeah, that's just it. And it's people, I mean, there's been people that forget figures and stuff, and everyone runs around, hey, do you have this? Do you have this? And people will lend people stuff. Like
absolutely.
You don't have to be, if you've never, like Gary said, if you've never been to one of these big events, you don't have to be intimidated.
No.
Unless you see me, because I'll just be miserable and hot. I won't.
It was warm in Memphis. And it was later in the year, too. It was like September, October. And it was still warm. I still wore a hoodie, though, because I'm an idiot. But that was also some superstition, too, because I did so well in Philly. I was like, all right, I'm going to bring the same, like, hoodie that I wore. And then day one, I didn't wear it. I totally forgot it in the hotel. And I was like, oh, no. And then shit the bed. Then the next day, the hoodie came back, and then I won a couple battle royal. I'm like, damn it, I should have wore the hoodie, man. So
the thing that made me laugh about Memphis was I was standing in the con line first day because I wasn't going to play in teams because I didn't know anybody. I knew one person. I'm like, whatever. And it was the year after I won. I'm just standing in line for convention exclusives, and everyone's running around getting the boosters out, and multiple people are just coming up like, aren't you playing? Don't you have a team? Like, oh, nobody's here. And, Devin's playing with the Canadians, And then Jay Solomon comes out and just screams, why aren't you playing? I'm like, because no one's here, Jay. I mean, what do you want from me?
I don't have a team.
Yeah.
And you didn't play?
I mean, I played singles because I qualified for singles. So I played the next day.
I get that, but you didn't play in Team Worlds?
No, I don't know.
Reigning team champion. Didn't play in Team Worlds.
Oh. Enjoyed my day. Got convention exclusives. Played in a couple battle royals. Walked around, talked to people.
All right, so...
That's the thing I'll say. Hold on, one last thing. Any cons, especially if you go for Hero Clix, give yourself a day or half a day. Just walk the con or just relax. Like, we all love Hero Clix, but I think it was 2019. Colossus and I finally were like, most of the time we'd go there, battle royals all day, or grinders, or singles, or teams. And we just went, we're just going to take this one day. We're not going to play Hero Clix. Maybe we'll play a battle royal or something. We're just going to walk around. And it was so nice to just have one day where it's like, oh, this is 90% of what's going on here. And we're just running into people. Oh, how have you been? You catch up with people. You don't have to jam pack it just play Hero Clix 24/7.
All right, so yeah, I mean, with that being said, so I do have a Tony Rodriguez story though now that I can share. That's what happened day 2 of Memphis. I was like, all right, like I'm not playing in Worlds. I have nothing else going on. Like, I don't have to sit here and like carry my team and go do a build sheet and all that. So I basically walked in. I was just like, all right, let me go check it. Oh, let me go walk over to Troll and Toad, see what they have. Oh, it's all overpriced. Okay, cool. Let me go see, let me go walk the convention line again, see if there's anything I need. All right, what time are Battle Royals popping off? Okay, cool. And then I'm walking in there with Tony, and I'm like, yo, are you not playing in Worlds? And he's like, nah, man. He's like, I'm going to make more money playing Battle Royals and winning stuff than I'm going to like keep the stuff that I want the rest of it to local and give them the opportunity to get some, convention exclusive stuff. But he's like, but I've already got enough swag to like pay for my trip. So now like everything else is just gravy. And I was like, oh, word. So we're walking in and we get grabbed by Wizkids officials. And they're like, hey, do you guys want to do a testimonial? Like, come stand over here and tell us, your name, how long you've been playing Hero Clix, why, just give us something. And I was like, all right, word, yeah, no problem. So like they hand you this phone. So you're like, like just hold it up and talk into it. So it's recording the audio, but they're also filming you. So like literally like your microphone is like just some bootleg phone. So I'm like, all right, like, and Tony and I are kind of looking at each other, and I'm like, yeah, I'll go first, no worries. So I go over, and they ask the whole rigmarole thing, and like I just do what I do, like I do here. I just talk, and I'm just talking, and I'm like, this is how long I've been playing. This is why I like the community, because it doesn't matter, what your background is. It just doesn't matter what what your religious beliefs are, what your political beliefs are. It doesn't matter if you're part of the LGBTQ community. It doesn't matter what race you are. You're welcome here. It doesn't matter your gender. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters when you're here because you're just a Hero Clix player. You are welcomed here, and it is one of the best communities in the world. People are always willing to trade stuff. They're willing to let you borrow stuff. They're willing to just answer your questions, to give you the time of day, and to talk to you about builds. It doesn't matter. Like when you're here in this bubble, like you're all a part of something that's special, and I just keep going on, and I end, and then Tony's just standing there like, well, what the hell am I supposed to say now, man? And I was like, I'm sorry. And he's like, nah, I'll figure something out. And so he like walks over, takes the phone from me, and he's like, it was perfect. I don't know what to say. So he, gives his background. But then he goes on and he gives like his background. He's from Cali and stuff, and he says something just as great as what I said. Like I was like, oh, see, I'm like, shut up, dude. You're such an idiot. Like, just perfect. Like, what you said was absolutely great. It was perfect. So, but it was just funny that I was like, yeah. And then he's like, where did you leave? I was like,
I gotta follow that.
But yeah, Tony, I mean, shit. I don't know why we're sitting here like on this big like love fest for DeCarlo and Rodriguez here. But like their store out in Cali is doing fantastic. I just saw like they had like the green and red Ranger. They had the original Green Ranger, homeboy who does like MMA and shit now. They had him.
Yeah.
I don't think they had the original Red Ranger, and they didn't have the Red Ranger that's in jail for murder. So what?
Yeah, they've been going all in on their, like, I didn't realize, because I followed it, because I'm like, I like Tony, and I've met Steve. I don't know Steve. Nothing against him. I just don't know him. But, like, I'm like, oh, they got a store. Good for them, I followed it and liked it and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Give them the love. And they're like, they've gone all in on the Power Ranger thing. They had one of the Yellow Rangers.
They had the yellow and pink Rangers from different like shows and stuff. They were gonna have Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah. They've been going all in on that. I'm like, good for them.
Go if you can get them. Like people right now want to go out and do stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I have 3 concerts lined up for me because I lost almost a year and a half, 2 years, and now it seems like anybody who creates music is like, we want to tour, we want to go do stuff. So like I'm seeing bands that I never thought I would be able to see in my life. Like people that are like, we're gonna travel around. Like so. Originally, my wife got tickets to go see a band called Beartooth in Wage War. And I was like, all right, that's cool. It's at the Palladium. It's right. It's about a 45-minute hour drive up to Massachusetts. So I was like, all right, that's cool. But then we didn't know that it was going to be an explosion. So then Coheed and Cambria and The Used are going to be there the next day after Beartooth. So like we're going to get a hotel up there. We're going to go and watch the show on Friday, and then we're going to go and we're going to watch the show on Saturday. And it's 2 bands that I never thought I'd be able to see, let alone together. Because The Used hasn't put out new music in a while, and then they're also like a West Coast band. And when they did the Warp Tour on the final Warp Tour, they just did West Coast shows. They didn't do the full circuit of Warp Tour. So I was like, never going to come out to the East Coast. There's no reason for them to come out to the East Coast. And yet here we are. And then another band, I'm probably going to get shit for this one. Another band that never tours and never does anything. And if they do, it's huge festivals and stuff like that. And they're over in like Europe right now. And they're coming from Germany, I think. And they're doing like 6 shows on the East Coast before they start hitting festivals and stuff. So it's Limp Bizkit is coming to the Oakdale Theater in Connecticut. And it's not a very big venue. And then they're doing Asbury Park, New Jersey at the Stone Pony. They're doing like but again, that venue is small.
Right.
It's right in Asbury Park. It's literally, it's probably the actual building is the size of Sargis Comics. If you think about it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The actual building is probably the size of Sargis Comics, but they do their music outdoors as well. They have like an outdoor setting as well. But it's not a very big building.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so I was like, it's on a Thursday, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna take the Friday off because these guys, like, with the way that Fred's living, you don't know how many more years he's got left touring. So,
yeah,
gotta see it.
Colossus and I were talking about possibly maybe going to Origins. Just we love that trip. We love Columbus. We hit up all the food stuff, like just for fun. And then last year, the week before everything shut down in New York, AEW was going to come to Rochester, and then that went out. That went out the door because everyone's like, ah. So then they just finally rescheduled it. And I was looking, I'm like, you got to come out to Rochester. We got to go to AEW. He's like, well, when is it? I go, well, let me look to double check. And it's the day before Origin starts. And I'm like, that'd be crazy. We just go do wrestling, drive right down to Columbus.
I mean, that could work.
Yeah, but we're definitely, I think he's got to figure some stuff out. Because then I shared with you, because we're on Facebook together. I'm going to go see Flogging Molly and Me First, which I've seen Flogging Molly before. I'm not a concert guy. So like, for me to go to concerts, rare. But when they popped it up and they're like, oh, yeah, we'll be there. Me First will be there. Violent Femmes will be there. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm going to go. I don't care. Let's just go. Let's do this.
I want to say, now I got to pull up the Palladium because I feel like, and again, for those of you that are here for HeroClix content, you probably can tune out now because we are an hour and 30 minutes in, and now it's just welcome to
3-hour show.
Yep.
3-hour show.
So let me see who they're playing with. Are you a Dropkick Murphys fan?
Okay.
I mean, if you're a Flogging Molly fan.
No. They're a completely different band.
Not really.
No, they are. Listen, because here's the thing, because I got into them at the same time, because my one buddy was really into Flogging Molly and Dropkick was popular at the time, so like I got them at the same time. Dropkick is much more of a hard rock, pure punk band. Flogging Molly is much more of a Irish band.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's why I like them. Like Dropkick's fine, but I really like got some of their live albums. Dave King, the lead singer of Flogging Molly, I love him. He has a very good sense of humor about himself.
I can't find it anymore, but I mean, there are so many. Wow, like this is missing an entire section of events. So let me just see if I can get a good. And you might not know a lot of these bands, or maybe you do, and I'm just assuming. So it's Dropkick Murphys and Rancid.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that tour was going
on August 21st. Then you have The Ghost Inside. You have Seven Dust playing there on September 11th. You have POD on September 12th. So the day after is POD doing their 20th anniversary tour of Satellite.
Oh God, that's about right.
Yeah. So like this is like the weird, like where it's almost like it's a perfect storm where all of these bands, yes, scary kids scaring kids with The City Sleeps in Flames. Again, I'm an old school hardcore kid, but also into emo, obviously, and stuff like that. We Came as Romans, Simple Plan, and Newfound Glory.
Wow.
That's October 6th. It's a Wednesday though, so I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm too old to get up there and see that.
That venue's got to have like either they know somebody or they're like they're friends or there's just something about it that they all want to go through because
It's
like for them to all be hitting.
It's a very iconic venue that is easy to get in and out of, and it's a good stop right along New England, going down towards Jersey, Long Island. So then you have, and I'm going to show you the art, and you're going to enjoy it. So then it's the Up from the Sewer tour, which is the Black Dahlia murder, After the Burial, Carnifex. But it's also, I mean, you have
Yeah, Turtles, of course.
yeah. So I mean, it's pretty perfect. I mean, yeah, they have so many. They have Guar coming. They have Black Label Society, Bad Religion, and Alkaline Trio. Tech Nine is doing 2 shows back to back. Theory of a Dead Man, Jelly Roll, Atreyu, Silverstein is playing, Neck Deep. Shadows Fall is doing a reunion tour, playing with Unearth. Thursday is coming back through and coming back to actually tour. Glassjaw is coming back together to tour.
Everyone's just getting back together.
It's like I'm looking at all these bands and I'm like, bro, I've never thought that. And I'm like, I have to pick and choose because there's too many. Yeah, Glassjaw, the 20th anniversary tour of Glassjaw. So it's like all of these like iconic bands that I got into when I'm 37, so you got to figure this is all high school stuff. When I was 17, all of these bands were in like their prime, were like putting out amazing like music, and then they all kind of like, became adults and were like, yeah, we have to do like, and now they're like, yeah, 20th anniversary, let's go tour.
Well, it's funny too is so I really like Nofix, so I'm a Bad Religion fan too, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
But because Greg, it's been so long, I feel like I'm messing up his name, but no, Graffin. Because he lives around here somewhere because he was a teacher in residence at SUNY Cortland.
Mm-hmm.
So Bad Religion never plays here because he's like, it's my backyard. Why would I play here?
Exactly.
So I've seen him once, and that was at the Warp Tour in like 09 or 2010 in Darien Lake. That was the only time I got to see Bad Religion. That was the only time they were actually going to play here because they're like, well, it's over here, so we're going to do.
It's part of the Warp Tour, so it's easy to jump on the tour there.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. When I was growing up, I was a huge Hatebreed fan, and they are a Connecticut band. Like literally, Jamie Hatebreed he'd be putting together shows and a showrunner out of the LNG Club right here in New London. So you know where Sarge's is.
Yep.
If you were to walk out of Sarge's door, take a right, like down that like section where there's the parking.
Yes.
There is that one like art space thing on the corner there with like the outdoor thing with the lights on it. That used to be the LNG Club. That's a place that had Godsmack come through, that had Marilyn Manson before he was like super huge. That was played host to numerous hardcore shows with bands like Earth Crisis and Hatebreed and Bury Your Dead and all kinds. And so Jamie Hatebreed was a showrunner out of there and would hold shows there all the time. And when they released their second album, they had a huge album release party there that I actually got to do security for the LNG Club. But then once like they became bigger, they never came back and toured in Connecticut. So it was like, bro, for me to see Hatebreed, I have to go to like New York, or I have to go to like New Hampshire, or it's like or they would sometimes play the Palladium in Worcester, but they never came back and played in Connecticut. It was like once the LNG was gone, that whole like mystique was gone about it. Like they weren't going to go play the Oakdale Theater because they wouldn't be able to get the setup that they would want, where it'd be an open floor plan. Like, and then other than that, you're playing like old school like VFWs or the Space Ballroom or something like that, or Toad's Place. Toad's Place is another one. It's over by Yale, the actual college.
Okay.
But it's one of those venues that maybe you can fit 200 to 300 people in, and you're nuts to butts, and it's going to be dangerous at that point in time because now someone's going to get hurt because you're going to have people who are following the bands be there, and then you're going to get some of the people that are kind of come from the school and just think it's a good old time, and then someone's going to get hit, and then Donnybrook is going to break it out. That's New England talk for a fight, for those that don't know. So, all right, on that note, we have talked way too much about music. Any last thoughts, Mr. Pangrazio?
No, I mean, anything I start is just going to go too far. The only thing I was going to mention, because we're talking about everything we're doing now, is I am, for anyone who's going to be up this way or lives up in New York, I am going to be doing a Comic-Con at the end of August.
Oh.
August 21st and 22nd in Clayton, New York. And it's going to mostly be comics. It's going to be my comics and T-shirts and stickers and stuff. But I'm also, since I have so many, I'm probably going to have Clix. I'm going to be selling Clix.
That's awesome.
Trying to bring people into the cult.
So that's awesome. All right, so August 21st, 22nd, I'll get those dates and I will add them to the show notes and the show description here. As always, it seems like I have only like the same 5 people on the show. That's because I don't really have many friends that actually want to volunteer to be on the show. So with that being said, thank you to Joe Pangrazio for being on the show. Go check out clixnexus.com. He is a Patreon subscriber to me. I am not a Patreon subscriber to him yet because I am Poe, but I will be doing that so soon. Go check out his content over at clixnexus.com. I will be writing some stuff. It will not be, power breakdowns and things like that. It'll be more opinionated and personalized content that maybe he doesn't want to write, and I'm going to. So there you have it. As always, thank you to the show sponsors. Thank you to all the Patreons for subscribing to my Patreon, which I don't understand why you're still sticking around, but I appreciate it. We are going to be having
you're so pretty.
What's that?
It's because you're so pretty.
I'm not. Like, I need to get a haircut. I like with the way that the light is hitting right now, it looks like I'm bald right here, but I have like the Friar tuck going, which I actually don't. But I just haven't shaved my head in a while, and the light is just right there. So it looks horrible. And I'm using my laptop video instead of my nice tripod video because the office is not an office right now, but it needs to become an office again very soon. So with that being said, July giveaways are going to be happening here shortly. Also, January and April giveaways will be going off as well because we didn't do those because I was depressed. So I have no excuse for it. I have the stuff to give away. So, yeah, anybody who is a Patreon gets put into the giveaway raffle. It depends on what tier you are, how many entries you get, and so on and so forth. So with that being said, keep rolling. You'll dig yourself out of that hole soon. I've got to actually hit the stop recording button.
You do.